Just to set a context for people who have already joined, this webinar is primarily about choosing the right master's degree abroad. And we know most of you attending this webinar are in that phase where you are looking at studying abroad or have any queries. The three of us work in the overseas education space, and we'll be introducing ourselves very shortly. But thank you so much once again. And one quick instruction, please make sure you are addressing all your questions and comments in the chat box to panelists and attendees, so everybody knows what you're typing and we can reply to those. Great, that's wonderful. Thank you so much, everyone, for clarifying that we are visible and audible. Anisha, actually, what we can do is, till the time everyone's waiting, we can introduce ourselves and then we can get started in the next few minutes. Anisha, would you like to start?
Yeah. Hi, a very good evening to everybody who's present here. Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Anisha and I work as an overseas growth associate at Minder. I have done my bachelor's and master's in counseling psychology, and I would be happy to attend and answer all your queries related to your master's programs and any other doubts that you have today. Over to you, Akshay.
Hi everyone. So Akshay this side. I work as an overseas education specialist at Mindler. My educational background, I have a bachelor's in humanities and arts, master's in social science, and I have also done a fellowship. And in the past years, we have helped a lot of students for their undergraduate, masters, and a couple of doctoral programs also. So once again, warm welcome to all. And if you have any questions, always let us know. Yeah. Abhishek.
Thank you so much, Anisha and Akshay. Guys, this is our team that we work with, and we have a supporting team that lends us all the support when we work with candidates applying to the top schools abroad. And like Akshay and Anisha have already mentioned, over the years, we've been able to work with some of those candidates who went on to the best schools possible. And I'm Abhishek. I lead the overseas education space at Minder. And I am a management grad. I've done my master's in management as well. And we have together worked with over 200 to 300 students in the last 2 to 3 years, building up the space. And today we will be more than happy to answer all your queries. But before we do that, we would like to share our insights considering the market trends and what kind of courses you can pick up when we're trying to choose our master's programs. I think we're good to go. People will keep joining in. I don't want to make any people wait. Guys, also, sure, Meenu. Ms. Meenu Dubey, I would request you to send a question in the chat box because Q&A might get missed. That'll be great. Instead of Q&A, can we send the question in the chat box? Wonderful. So I'll just quickly start with the first and most pressing thing that we want to talk about is how do we decide on the right course? And that is the most important factor when we are looking at studying abroad or anywhere in the world. We can't narrow down on the countries. We can't narrow down on the universities till we have clarity of thought in terms of what we want to study. Now, very often we come across candidates who are brilliant, they have great profiles, but they don't have clarity of thought in terms of courses. And we honestly don't blame them because let's pick up a domain as easy as management. When you start looking at colleges and everything, you realize there are 15 to 20 different kind of courses available only in management. But how do we decide the right ones for you? You need to understand a few factors before you begin. A, why are you going for a master's degree in the first place? What is the need? Is it for a career progression? Do you want to switch a career domain? If that is the case, it is always recommended to do thorough research in terms of your opportunities. Sometimes we come across candidates who are looking at moving to a particular job role at a particular organization. If you are somebody who's doing that and can relate to this particular concern, it's always advisable to understand which kind of degrees the companies are recruiting for. What is the kind of educational background they're looking for, or what are the kind of universities they hire from? That makes your life way more simpler. In case you're still not sure, it's always better to go ahead and speak to a career coach or counselor to understand your prospects and opportunities better. The best possible example I can give you here is of the metaverse. As we speak today, metaverse careers are being born, literally. Different professionals are changing their paths, and universities are already co-creating degrees and programs with the likes of Google and Microsoft going to MIT and Harvard's and creating new program that might come up in the next 1 or 2 years. If we are looking at an uncharted territory, it's always fair to take a gamble in terms of a related degree but it's very, very important for us to make sure that we do our thorough research. There's nothing without research. Anyone who has a question, you can just put in the chat box. Unfortunately, we will not be able to give you speaker access as of yet. If there's time at the end, we might try and do that, but it might become very difficult. So yeah, the first course of action is to decide on what do you want to study. So start with the why, that which degree you're looking for, and what is the possible reason you might want to pursue that. After you have clarity of thought of what course you're looking at, it further becomes easier for you to decide on the factors. And I would certainly want Akshay to talk about how do we narrow down on countries after we are able to shortlist the courses we're looking at.
Yeah. So moving ahead with the countries that you want to choose. So there are going to be multiple factors for each one of them, and this is not going to be uniform across the applicants. So somebody might be looking at career opportunities in a country. Somebody might require financial aid and financial constraints. So based on that, there are a lot of opportunities. If you right now see in the news that there is a crisis in Ukraine, so that's very interesting. So recently, students who went to China are not able to complete their studies. So right now it's happening in Ukraine. So moving ahead with the best country to choose, obviously, if you look at the flow and the career opportunities, US still remains the primary country that every student wants to go. It's because of the quality of education and the number of career opportunities, especially I would recommend for STEM degrees and management degrees, US still stays the first primary country. Now, the second comes to UK and Australia. And if you look at this, these are all English speaking countries. And there is an advantage for us Indians also. You will be also familiar with the situations, and the language is obviously a good factor. The other thing is that if you look at other countries like Germany, Netherlands, Switzerland, Sweden, so these are non-English speaking countries. However, it doesn't mean that they lack career opportunities or the best degrees. There are top universities in these countries like ETH Sweden, or KU Leuven in Belgium, or so there are a lot of universities like Maastricht University, if you look at them. Now, stay back is also another concern. In US, if you study a STEM degree, you can stay back up to 3 years for exploring your career opportunity. For other degrees, you can stay back up to 1 year. Canada, if you look at the recent news, they have a lot of employment opportunities, and they're willing to give a lot of permanent residencies and citizenship. So that is another concern. Now, if you look at Germany, they offer a stayback of 18 months. But there are first of all, because of the less tuition fees or no tuition fee, students are going to go to Germany. And if finance is a constraint for you, that is a good option. Germany is very much leading in technology field, design, and even in medicine. So that's a great opportunity for anybody who is exploring Germany. Now, other thing I want to talk about is standardized test. A lot of people might have come across GRE or GMAT. GRE, a lot of students take it especially for engineering degrees, and management, obviously GMAT is for management degrees like MBA. So if you want to, let's say, pursue an engineering degree in the US, you're gonna definitely have to take a GRE test. However, if you want to pursue an engineering degree in UK or some of the European nations, you won't need to. So that is something that I think you should seriously consider. And for preparation of GRE or GMAT, I would say an average of 2 to 3 months is minimum necessary. And GMAT test, it is for management courses, management programs. Now, a very interesting thing is that if you look at the US, the MBA programs, these are for students who have, or working professionals who have around 4 to 7 years of work experience primarily. But if you look at UK, some universities make an exception, except for the top one like LBS or Oxford. So if you have little or less work experience and want to go for management degrees, you can either look for MBA in the UK, or there are some courses called Masters in Management. So in the past years, I have come across a lot of students from engineering field who wants to move into management. So switching careers is very important. And as Abhishek has said about, taking up the right course, if you are switching career, there has to be a good reason. Why are you motivated? And moreover, you should have some sort of transferable skills. So transferable skills are really important. If you have an aptitude for maths, that's great. So you can move into a management degree. So I'm just giving very basic examples. A lot of students from engineering have moved into management. and a lot of students pursue in their current stream. For example, students who have studied arts, they want to do an arts degree like product design, or let's say even English and everything. So yeah, that's just a very brief info from me, and I am going to pass on to Anisha. If you have any questions, please put it in the chat and I will attend to it. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So right now, what I would be focusing on is how do we decide on the right university? So choosing the right university for your master's degree is a crucial aspect, right? So extensive research by students is what we expect in terms of, where do you see yourself in the next 4 years? If you want to go to a high ranked university, what is it that is required, or what is it that is expected out of you? So a lot of students keep on telling us that, we wouldn't want to only see the ranking, but are you sure about the course that is it even there in that university? So it's very important that you, as a student, firstly, prepare a list of colleges that you would want to go to. It's not only about the name, but of course, it is also about several other factors that I will be covering ahead. So firstly, it's very important that you develop your own short list of colleges that you would be wanting to attend. It could be so major factors that you would want to think about, or we urge students to think about, is the location, the kind of majors and the kind of programs that the university is offering, how the people are on the campus, what about the faculty members, how are the professors there, what are the kind of opportunities that are there outside the classroom, do you have anything except for academics? When you enter a university, it's not only about academics. Let's focus on extracurriculars. Do they have any kind of social clubs? Do they have any kind of communities that they're serving? Anything that, for that matter of fact. It's, of course, like Abhishek mentioned, that it's very important that you choose the right subject. Have you chosen the right subject because you know that in the next 2 years, or for a minimum of 2 years, you would be studying that particular subject? And if it works out in your favor, you would be working in that particular area for the next 20 or 30 years. We never know, right? Then secondly, I think it's very important that you consult university rankings. When you start your research about universities, it's important that we also look at major ranking tables. A lot of websites give you this general overview of how a particular university is. They give you a general ranking, while others may have separate tables for each subject that you're looking at. So it's important that you always look at the university rankings. The next thing I would want to cover is that, you always look at the course content. What kind of courses are they providing? If you're looking at something in psychology, are you looking something majorly in counseling? Are you looking something in organizational? Or are you looking at industrial psychology? Is the university covering that aspect in the course content? It's very important that what do you do when you go at a restaurant? You obviously open the menu and you look at what is it that they're giving out there. It's similar. When you're opening a university website, go to the academic section, see what kind of contents and what kind of subjects they're offering. Because ultimately you need to understand what are you going to be learning in that particular year or the next 2 years. Apart from academics, I think universities also not only about studying, but we should also focus about what kind of sports, what kind of societies, what kind of communities is the university having. When you join a university, you would also want to see, so maybe if I talk about Akshay, he might be an avid footballer, but do we have anything in that particular university where he could join a particular club or a particular society? Do you have options there? A lot of students also talk about whether student accommodation is also one factor. What is accommodation like? Because of course, especially if you're moving abroad and moving away from your parents, it's very important that you also look at student accommodation opportunities and the facilities that they have. Rank your priorities. I think it's very important that you start with your research well in advance. If you're already in your second year of college in your undergrad, we urge students that they start looking for the kind of courses and the kind of country that they would want to go to. And then of course then comes the part where you try and look at what kind of universities are there in that particular country. uh, Please do your research well in terms of because there's a lot of things that you need to cover beforehand. Like Akshay mentioned about standardized tests, it's very important that you're already prepared and you have your scores well in advance with you in hand. Your IELTS, TOEFL, GMAT, GRE are a few things that are very important for a particular subject. It depends on what kind of course you're applying for. Another important factor is writing essays. It's very important that you're well prepared in advance, because you will have to write a lot of essays when you're applying to universities in India or abroad for that matter, right? Because they would want to know you and your thought process. You will also have to look out for a letter of recommendation from your professors that the professors that are currently teaching you. So just focus on what is it that you already need to prepare for yourself in order to make it a smooth journey for yourself to end up in a good college or a university. It's important that you focus on your end game. What we want our students is to focus and answer, where do you see yourself in the next 4 years? Or if 4 years is a long term, then where do you see yourself in the right college? Do you see yourself studying at Harvard, Oxford? Do you see yourself studying at any university? It doesn't necessarily have to be the top ones, because not everybody has that kind of profile or the marks or the privilege of going and studying there. But it's important that you envision yourself there, because when you have that in mind, when you're straight up there, you will be able to pursue that, right? Go and look into the departments of various college and universities. What are the kind of majors are they offering? What are the kind of job connections they have? Investigate it properly. Look into the maybe employment data or the kind of hiring processes that they have. See whatever opportunities that are there in the long run, because of after a master's, a few students might want to pursue more, but some go out looking for jobs. See what kind of job opportunities are there, because these are some of the very crucial factors that you should consider in terms of applying to colleges. And I think that's more or less what we usually want students to focus on. But of course, this is just a brief about how you should choose the right university, and a few pointers that you can keep in mind before you start with your research.
Great. Thank you so much, Akshay and Anisha, for elaborating on that. And one thing I really liked, in fact, thank you for everyone proving our point. A lot of questions coming here are not too direct. For example, I can answer a question. For example, Shimpaglin, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. If I'm not, I'm really sorry. When we ask about studying in particular countries, right, I want to understand, what are your job prospects? What are you looking at? Are you looking at a stay back? I don't know what level of education you already have. Unless you have that clarity already or share the information, it's very difficult, because US, Canada, UK have all three different criteria when you look at studying abroad. So we need to have clarity in this. For example, now, Roshni, can you please tell us what have you done your BSc in, so we can tell you what courses are right for you and we can guide you better. In the meanwhile, while you ask your questions, I want to just shed some light on something very important. Now, when we look at studying abroad, choosing our degrees and where you want to study and everything that Akshay and Anisha shared, it's equally important to understand, when we are looking at studying abroad at the best schools in the world, our profile plays a major role. Other than your academic scores in your undergrad and standardized tests that Akshay mentioned about, it's also very important that we build a holistic profile. Some of the elements that we can possibly take care of and build on happen to be our activities, internships that we pursue in college and before that. Kind of activities we can participate in. Of course, colleges today in India are very proactive. Despite the pandemic, they have managed to ensure students have some level of participation, be it debates, MUNs, competitions, forums, case studies, moot courts. Depending on the domain I'm looking at, universities have done a solid job in India to try and give students the best of experiences, even if a university has not been successful in that regard. We always personally encourage students in Mindler to take and create their own initiatives. And we'll give you examples of some of them as well. Another important factor that we can look at is internships and gaining professional experience. Now, a student coming to us saying that we are not able to get internships in college is something we don't know how to answer, because personally at Mindler, we have worked with around students who are as young as class 9 and 10 as well. So internships are readily available, and so does bigger corporates and startups. Everybody is looking for interns day in, day out. It's only fair for us to guide the students, or if we are a student, making sure that okay, we need to look at the right opportunities. It's very, very important. One of the major parameters we haven't spoken about yet is networking. If you are a student, then like today you are attending this webinar to get relevant information, universities also perform open days and virtual sessions to give you clarity on why these programs are run and what is the curriculum like, all the factors that Akshay and Anisha had stated about fact countries and respective universities. This is the best possible way to interact. Now, personally, between the three of us, we can give you information about different countries and universities. But if I want to get college specific information, it's only fair to rely on university information, right? It takes a lot of research, but if I am speaking to particular university professional, they will guide us better. Please don't get misled by agents and so what consultants, and we know how that goes. Please rely on the information and credible people only. Do your research. We are doing this because we come from these institutes, we have worked with students, and we have that background to prove our credibility. So make sure you choose the right thing for you. Nobody can make a decision for you. We can only help you do better. Another important factor I want to speak about is people spoke about how and what kind of activities are counted. Each and everything that you have done in college can count for something. It depends how you put it across. Like Anisha was talking about essays. Your essays and personal statements are your storyline. Until unless you have something to talk about, you will never be able to compile a solid essay or SOP that tells the university this is the right candidate. So the more you do, the better equipped you are. But please focus on quality. I'm not saying go do 100 things and make your profile stronger. That doesn't really work because you only have as much time. Focus on areas that are relevant for your degree. Let's say today I want to go pursue a degree in law. Of course, I have to come from a bachelor's degree in law for the most part. I have worked with certain lawyers. I have done my research. I published papers. These kind of activities are only going to add value, not every other thing. So please remember, while you choose your activities, they also need to complement your journey and prove that this is what you want to do. It can't be a random decision. I do see a few questions in Q&A as well. I've done my graduation in agri specialization. Should I do master's in the same domain? So I'm not sure what your name is. It shows anonymous, but to answer your question very simply, it's very important to understand that what you're going to do next. Even if you come from an agriculture background, MBA works, but that will require certain years of work experience. But in case you want to further specialize in agriculture and the field, it's a good time for you to do masters, depending on you get the right program for you, right? Also, it's a request for everyone to send questions to all panelists and attendees, not to any personal panelists, because we won't be able to address them. Guys, any questions you want to answer, keep answering those as well. We can pick up those. Akshay, you want to answer any?
Okay, I'm going to start up from the top. Okay.
Sure.
Somebody has asked about internships and what kind of internship would be preferred for PG admission. Now, let me say a couple of things. Students who go to master's degree, these are going to be specialized degree. It's not like the bachelor's degree where you have a couple of subjects, let's say double major or something. So main thing about internship, do you want to do a research internship or a professional internship? If you want to move forward for academic jobs or want to work in academia or research centers or think tanks, then I would say do a research internship. Sometimes connect with your professors. They might be doing a research project, or they might be able to connect you with somebody who is actually doing a research project so that you can actually work on the project. So there is a methodology. So you will be able to firsthand practice this. So that's one step. Now, other kind of internship, you would be able to intern at a company or an organization where you will actually have the real-time professional experience. So if somebody is actually looking for, like a job in an IT firm or something, I would really recommend, rather than a research project, a professional work experience at an organization. So that will really help you, and you will be able to, learn something out of it. And obviously that's something you can actually put it in your profile. So moving ahead with next, for scholarships.
Actually, can I clarify something? Professor Keem, I'm not too sure what you mean by that, but I want to clarify very simply. This webinar was particularly for students looking at studying abroad. Nobody's saying Indian education is not good. Just wanted to clarify that, so everybody has clarity of thought here. So sorry, Akshay, back to you.
Yeah, okay. Now I have also seen some questions about scholarship. Okay, mainly for masters, there are going to be a lot of scholarship. However, it is going to be very competitive. Especially these are funded scholarship are usually given by the government. Some would be given by the universities as well. So US has a fully funded. So I'm going to make this very quick. US has some scholarship fully funded, but this requires 3 years of work experience. Please go and check Fulbright Nehru Master Scholarship. Simple as that. UK has Commonwealth scholarships. Ireland also has government funded scholarship. European Union has Erasmus Mundus scholarship. Unfortunately, this year it has been passed, but please go and visit Erasmus Mundus catalog. You would be able to see each country has their own scholarship, and you will be able to find it. Now, one more thing, this is very interesting about US because somebody I have seen asking about PhD. For PhD in US, you do not need a master's degree as an essential. Students from bachelor's degree also can go for PhD. And most of the US PhDs are fully funded, but it requires a 5 year of commitment, and you earn a master's degree as a terminal degree while doing the PhD. However, you will need to at least give a GRE or GMAT test depending on the subject. Sometimes they will also ask you for work samples, and publications are really important if you want to do a PhD. And I would say without publication, you might not get into a good reputed university. So that's the main thing. Now, students who is moving from mechanical engineering to management, obviously you can do that. And in management, there are going to be specializations: finance, entrepreneurship, innovation, HR, marketing. These are going to be specialization in every management degree. Now, main thing in Europe, GRE or GMAT is required. And if you have less than 2 years of work experience, if you have nil work experience, you can go into a good management degree, even in Europe. Okay. Okay, now I'm
Okay,
searching for questions.
I have one question to answer. Ms. Farida, so the idea is what degree you're mentioning about for your son for BSc in finance. That's a really good program, but when you're looking at studying in Canada in particular, they don't really prefer 3 year degree, especially from Mumbai University as well. Or even if it's an affiliate, make sure if you're looking at US and Canada for a master's, you either have a 4 year degree or have work ex after that. Please understand, we don't encourage students applying for PhD diplomas and certificates. We are very against it simply because if you're not sure, few universities shut down in Canada for this reason this year. Because degrees and certificates there's a major difference. You're always encouraged to go for a degree over a diploma. So please remember that. Mr. Amit, let me clarify this. I think there's a confusion. The scholarship you're talking about is only for the undergrad students, and minor scholarship hunt is going on already. So you can check that out. It has nothing to do with the PG applicants. And our colleague Ajay has posted a link in the chat box. If you want to register for a session with us for the overseas counseling, you can do that. Also, Ajay, it will be a great time if you can put the poll question to understand better about the audience. Priyanka, you can drop us a mail. I'll share my ID. We'll be more than happy to help you for KJ Samaya as well. But the session is directed toward overseas education, so we want to address that. But we'll drop an email ID for you, so you can reach out to us. Great participants, please keep sharing your questions. If you have any particular questions about a country, we'll be more than happy to address those. Anisha, actually keep looking. Any questions you want to answer, you can.
Yes, so I have seen a question about University of Glasgow. It is a globally top 100 university. I think its rank is around 70 something. And it's a really good university, especially for research. So I don't see any problem going to Glasgow for research. It's great. Now, business analytics, data science, these have huge scope in the coming years. And obviously, US is the first place where, like you can get a good earning and a good stay back. It comes under STEM degree. So you'll be having a 36 months of stay back. So yeah, that's there for US. And obviously, a GRE definitely would be required for going to, like top ranked university. Now, one more thing that I've seen is that migrating just for the stay back is a good option. But however, if you want to really go ahead with the academics, I would say that look at the top ranked universities. These universities have good reputation, and the career opportunities and networking that you're going to get there are going to be unparalleled. So that's something that I would really wish that you would consider.
I want to quickly answer the question. Deepika, why do you have to make up for this year in the first place? Like, why do we have to? Because universities offer courses to Indian students irrespective, right? So I'm not too sure what exactly your question is. Anisha, do you want to answer this? Manya's question. We can put down the few schools for her to look at for MA in applied psychology. We can put
Sure.
down a few schools.
Any particular country that you're looking at that would help us narrow down a few universities for you, Manya, because that would give you better clarity in terms of which university you should be applying for.
Now, Mr. Girish, there's no restriction to education. We have people at 80 doing the master's and undergrad degree, so there's not a problem at all. When it comes to scholarship, that is very subjective, depends on what you want to study. So, and again, we can't reverse the process. No, I want to understand what you want to really do and achieve. Only then we'll be able to guide you better.
I want to take one question. So
Sure.
there's somebody who is doing a master's from IGNO. I wish to say that, for health issues and all, some of the IGNO degrees are not going to be recognized by a lot of foreign institutions. So please check with some of these institutions. I have come across some cases like that, especially the top ranked universities. So please have a check on that.
Manipal is a good university for mass comm. It's not the best, of course. I'm not too sure what your other options, so I can't compare and give you better advice. But you can write to us for that. Amit, there's no scholarship for masters that Mindra is offering, none. So we've very clearly mentioned this is for undergrad. And management in real estate, Amit, you can look at a few schools that offer that. Australia, especially, you can look at University of Adelaide, that is a specialized design program. I think Monash is another. We can look at Canada. I'm not too sure. We'll have to check for you. If you write to us, we can do that. And we have shared a form link. I'm just sharing that again. So you can just write to us in that form and we'll reach out to you. So Girish, personally, I work in education and CSR and I have not studied either. Doesn't really matter with your degree, you can work in this domain. So if you look at some of the major CSR organizations today, they don't expect you to know a specialized degree. You can always do courses which can be online as well. You don't really need a particular master's degree if you're looking at. Absolutely not. That's not required. You just need to have the right skills to run a CSR project. I would say rather go and certify yourself in project management or something if you want to work in this domain. That will give you better exposure.
Okay, Abhishek, I'm going to take one question. Is a double master's application is frowned upon? Definitely no. So if you look at some of the countries, like they do not recognize a 3-year bachelor's degree. They will ask for a 4 years bachelor's degree. So students from India, they usually have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree. Then they apply for another master's degree, even in the UK. So UK, there is an interesting thing. Master's degree, sometimes it's 1 year, sometimes it's 2 years, sometimes it's 18 months. So that's an interesting thing. Now, one more PhD question. I have done master's. I need to apply for PhD. Other than US, most of the PhD applications requires a research proposal. Sometimes a prior, let's say, an affirmation from the supervisor. So please contact the university, see the supervisors, and this applies even for masters in some of the universities in UK and US, and most of the universities in Canada. You need to have the prior approval of the supervisor, or at least have a connection with them. Contact them so that they will be able to supervise you in your master's degree.
Ashna, you can certainly do that course. Absolutely. Jyoti, of course, Germany has some of the best schools in the world for biochemistry, and it's one of the strongest domains you can. If you're looking at the Nordic countries, please make sure language is not a barrier. Other than that, these countries make for some good universities, but be sure that you are choosing the right programs. They do have PG programs in English as well. Undergrad, not so many. So please remember that. Anubhuti, please write to us. We can share scholarship, but please understand when it comes to Canada, most of the university funded scholarships are the best way to go. So many of our students have secured up to $100,000 scholarship this year. So make sure you're applying to the university ones in time. That's the best course of action. Actually, one quick question answer. Girish, so please remember when you're applying for PhD, certain countries don't require for a master's because the first year becomes the master's program as part of the PhD. So unless we know about the countries you're considering, it will be difficult to answer.
So Prateek, who is pursuing BTech in mechanical engineering, and he's asking if he should go for a placement or an MS. So it really depends. So if you want to really have some work experience and work exposure, like for 1 or 2 years, and then go for MS, that's good. However, if you really want to, move ahead with academics and take let's say, get an experience through internship while doing the MS, that's also another option. So it really depends upon your interest and other priorities.
Also, I've launched the poll, so if quickly you can respond. I've seen only 4 people are responding to that. Great, thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Abhishek.
Go ahead, Akshay. Go ahead, Akshay.
Yeah, so for master's degree in Canada, please check the university website. If you have at least a couple of universities in mind, they might not recognize 3-year bachelor's degree. I have seen that a lot of them say minimum 4 years of undergraduate degree. So please have a look. And this will be clearly mentioned in the program website.
Jyoti, WES is an evaluation system for your degree. So if you're applying to countries, especially like US and Canada, this becomes a common system for universities to assess your degree. It's a mandatory requirement for a lot of major schools in the world. So it's just like an evaluation of your degree. Asna, why not? Because you get an opportunity to get work experience as well. So co-op becomes a very popular option in North America.
I would like, okay.
Go ahead, actually, go ahead.
So I would like to mention one more thing, especially in US and Canada, it's not just the scholarship, especially for master's degree. You can earn money by working as a research assistant or a teaching assistant. And that's an option that will really pay you, at least to manage your finances as well while you are living there. Some of them even cover your tuition fees as well. So please do not only depend upon the scholarships, because scholarships are going to be a little bit tough to achieve.
Scope of agri-business management. Have we stopped eating food? Have we stopped using grains? You tell me that. Agri-business is something that's only going to grow. We need better technology, so of course. No, so Deepika, that's what I said, right? You can always look at work experience. You can look at diplomas in India. That's what Akshay meant by second masters as well. So a lot of candidates applying abroad do those things. And I would request you to block a session so we can discuss at length, because we also need more clarity to answer this better. Nitish, please write to us. We'll be more than happy to answer. And I'm just reposting the link in case you want to block a session. You can fill the information in the link Google form provided.
Abhishek, also, did you answer Ashna's question?
I did answer Ashna's question.
Cool. Go ahead. Sorry for interruption.
Oh, so Kavita, you've already done your master's in psychology and also done your BEd. So I think you have a lot of avenues open up. You can, of course, work as a teacher. You can always work as a professor as well. You can be and give your NET exam. Other than that, I think what we can personally recommend is you can look at careers in counseling and coaching and mentoring. That's something that's always, in fact, if you're looking at that, the ICCC that Mindler provides for certified career coaches will be a great value add. You can check that out on the Mindler page, and that will be a great exposure for you to get certified as a career coach too. And you can look at a new avenue altogether.
Okay, Girish questions has been answered, Abhishek?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Sujit, you want to teach mathematics abroad students? That's great, but like, what are you asking from us? We won't stop you from teaching anybody, I can promise you. For fashion communication, Jyoti, the best school that I can recommend is Abhishek Business School. They have a strategic marketing course, which is one of the best in the world. You can look at HEC Paris again for a marketing one. Purely for fashion communication, I would say you can look at London College of Fashion instead of any other program. That's the best one in the world for sure.
I have a question here. That's a good question, but can
Girish,
you please...
what question have we not answered? Can you please tell us?
There's a question. Can you please suggest, can we do PhD in abroad without going there? And I would really advise against it. And options are, from my experience, very less.
You can just check out Upgrad. That's all I can say. Only they are doing it. So that's the only option. But I agree with Akshay.
Yeah, and let me say one thing. If you are going to do a PhD, you are going to move into academic field. And if you are going to do a PhD, the universities, they actually recommend or help you to teach the courses for undergraduate students so that you have a teaching exposure, teaching experience. So that's the main part of the PhD degree, and I don't think you can substitute that by doing an online or those kind of PhD, and it's not going to be worthwhile. Courses with co-op, a lot of courses in Canada have co-op, majority of them. Integrated PhD in education, I am not aware.
Reza, those institutes are not the best in the world, so I want to understand the logic behind first applying to those universities and why. Only then I can answer that. Because personally, amongst all of us, we wouldn't recommend those colleges. So I want to understand what are we comparing to colleges in India. So Jyoti, when you look at Canada, like fintech is a growing domain, but some of the best schools you can look at is York Schulich has a great finance program in particular, so you can look at that. Otherwise, you have UBC Sauder and Rotman. We have Western Ivy as well. These are the best business schools in Canada, so either of them work. I want to do a PDF. PDF you can't do. You can do a PhD in UK if that's what you're asking. Please recommend me a few universities. Fully funded scholarship in what, Anubhuti?
I have done my master's in psychology. The question is from Kavita. Also done BEd. Please suggest what I have to select next for a better career, better future. See, it depends upon your area of interest. Moving ahead with any master's or PhD, please specialize in whichever area that you are interested in. Either you need to have a work exposure or at least, an academic experience, not just attending, like having a degree, but real research projects or internships. So based on your interest, you have to, move ahead in your career. So yeah, we can help you with the college, but we need to know what is your real interest in moving forward, which area. How early should we apply for student visa after getting your admission? As soon as possible.
Has Harshit's question been answered? Would you help us choose the course and maybe act as a career counselor too? Okay, so Harshit, we do help students with choosing the course and for any career that they would want to take up. But if you want to maybe look at career counselor options, you can obviously take up the ICCC levels that Abhishek just mentioned, and you can just get a sense of what a career coach or career counselor works as. But a bachelor's degree is of course important. A master's degree will be in addition to it. It doesn't necessarily have to be in any psychology domain, but it could be any other domain that you're already maybe enrolled for.
To be honest, Priyanka, you can look at number of schools. That's a very generic question. So if you're looking at MIM, all these countries have great programs in particular. So yes, it particularly depends on the profile you have for us to recommend. But in Canada, you have University of British Columbia that has one of the best ones. Australia has Melbourne, Sydney. Germany has the Technical University of Munich. That is one of the most sought after programs. Singapore has both NUS and NTU, so you can look at these universities in particular. But I'm just resharing the link once more. So you can please go ahead and reach out to us for any questions or anything that you have. If you want to book a session, you can do that as well with us. We'll be more than happy to answer that as well. But I think we have answered most of the questions that you guys had, and I hope this webinar was helpful. So please do write to us. You can fill the form once again if you need any information. If you need any support, especially for applying for masters this year, we'll be more than happy to address those, but let's be a little quick because we're already sitting on 2nd March and we have limited time, but all of us at Minder will be happy to help you. Simon, please write to us because that will be a more detailed discussion. So, and please, for anybody asking about the age, guys, age is not a problem. You can go and study anything at any point of time. So forget that. It's not a problem. Gopal, it depends on the university. UK has some of the best programs for social work. So you can consider those as well. But great, guys. Thank you so much to everyone who logged in today. And thank you so much, Akshay and Anisha. Any last tips you want to give to anyone looking at masters abroad?
Well, I would say that it's a mix of a lot of your options. It's not just going to be, please do not restrict yourself, like just based on, let's say, the best country or the ranking of the universities, because rankings do differ. And a lot of universities do offer quality education, especially the top ranked ones. Yeah.
I would say do your research well in advance so that you do not miss out on the deadlines, and be well prepared with everything that you would require in terms of, filling your application. Have a good profile, work towards your profile in order to, land up into the college of your choice. Do not specifically apply to colleges, say just one or two colleges, because that can be a risky thing to do. But always have a list of colleges, at least apply to a minimum of 5 to 7 colleges when you're applying for a master's or an undergrad degree, for that matter of fact. Because that's important that because universities see a lot of things when they are looking at applications. They do not only have 10 or 15 applications, they have thousands of applications coming in from all over the world. So make sure that you have a very solid and a strong profile. Apart from that, of course, if there's anything that you would like to ask us, we are always there to guide you and help you out. You can always reach out to us, and feel free to just have a session with us in case that's something that you would like.
Thank you so much, everyone. Good luck. We have shared the Google form, Nutan. I'm sharing it again. You can register there.